Each one of us is on our own unique journey. We come from different countries, backgrounds, genders, races, and religions. We are mothers, fathers, sons, daughters. We are wives, husbands, caregivers, and friends. Despite these differences, we all share two common threads among us: an undeniable drive to keep moving forward and an ever-growing hope for future treatments. We are the faces of CMT. There are over 2.6 million people living in the world with Charcot-Marie Tooth. This is the story of only one family.
A day without CMT would be like amazing. My name is Reagan. I'm 9 years old. I'm gonna be 10 in December. And I have CMT.
My name is Phil Warren, and I have CMT.
My name is Brooke Warren. I'm a board member of the Hereditary Neuropathy Foundation. 2 people in my family are affected with CMT, both my husband and my daughter.
I found out about CMT when I was, I want to say 10 or 11.
We first found out that Reagan had CMT shortly after she was born. We tested her, and I remember getting the news that day. We were both obviously very upset.
I have CMT type 1A, which I think means that one of the parents has it.
I have CMT. My mother has CMT, and we think that her father had CMT.
CMT has historically been somewhat of a hidden disease within families. It certainly was within Phil's family. There are some families that don't even know they have it until one family member has a very visible portion of it.
To this day, I don't think I've ever really had a conversation with my father about CMT.
In the beginning, CMT was Phil's disease, so to speak, and then we had a child. It kind of became more our thing.
Brooke, my wife, is very open about everything, and so it ultimately got me comfortable talking about it. And so I'm really glad that she's encouraged the same thing with Reagan, and so that Reagan's very open about it.
Welcome to Reagan's room tour. Today with Reagan Warren. Okay, let's go. This is Sherlock. He's my fish. I had Watson, but he died, sadly. This is my night brace, but it hurts a lot.
I mean, she's amazing. She's creative, and she's got a personality that there's no 4th grader in the world like her, 100% guaranteed.
This is my bed. It's a lovely bed, you know? Like, put the head all the way down and the feet up, and I'm like the most comfortable woman ever. This is the life.
Reagan's, she's incredible. Right away, she exudes this amusement, this happiness, and this innocence that's something that gives me a lot of energy.
I want to be a lot of things when I grow up. Some of them are based on like what the future may be for me, and if like my hip gets better and stuff. I do want to be a police officer.
At older ages, I worry that will she be able to work? How impacted she will be?
I also want to be an interior designer or a photographer, because those don't really rely on my hip and stuff.
What I would love to see is her be able to maintain her sort of joyous spirit and not have it so negatively impacted by CMT.
When you see Reagan in isolation, you don't notice necessarily how difficult or delayed she is until you see her kind of running with her peers. And that's the hardest for me. I mean, if you see her go to the park, I'll start crying. It's not fair. I think the worst part of CMT is the pain that they experience that you can't do anything about, and the fact that it invades every part of your life.
It's kind of hard for me because sometimes I wake up in the mornings and my hip starts to hurt a little bit. My legs are sometimes really stiff, and so are my hands.
There's nothing easy about CMT, but being able for her to talk about it and express what she's feeling, I think has really made a difference and is really important for her.
My dad taught me like a few tips and tricks. He taught me not to cry over it. But he told me, use CMT as an advantage. That made me a lot happier that I was able to like use that tiny part of whom I am to form me.
I would say that 70% of my day is actually focused in one way or another on dealing with CMT and its repercussions.
I also can't do a lot of my own things like cook for myself or like take a shower by myself.
You know, I'm taking care of both of them, both from a grooming standpoint, but also getting them to where they need to go.
I do physical therapy, but I try to make it as fun as I can because working is very important for me, so I get stronger.
Typically she goes for an hour and a half a day. And it's real physical therapy. I mean, it's squats and wall sits, and most people call it CrossFit. She's tired. Her day starts at 8:15 and ends at 6 every day and nonstop, and that's a long day for her.
I work in a very competitive field, and if you have CMT, you have to work that much harder. And so I have a regimen in the morning that can take 2 to 3 hours, and what I've decided to do is to just be determined about doing that every day and not letting it stop me.
And he would spend over an hour bracing his foot.
I sort of create a mini medical supply store. Bandages in and of themselves are hard because I don't have the finger dexterity to open Band-Aids. You're talking about 3.5 hours to get up before you go to the office. The thing about CMT that differentiates it from many other disabilities is that it's hereditary. And you know, I gave it to my daughter. There's nothing that I can do to take that away. I don't care what happened to me. It's about my daughter and her having to face this possibly with her daughter. The importance of raising awareness that the Hereditary Neuropathy Foundation is taking as a main goal is so critical in not just driving, you know, treatment and medical development. It's helping people now with how they feel about themselves and getting people to talk about this in a way that they weren't comfortable before.
This is a degenerative disease, and we're a young family, so when Phil was hospitalized last year for respiratory failure, I feel like that was a huge wake-up call for our family, is to like, we don't know what is around the corner.
I'm certainly optimistic about treatment. Even if not for me, for my daughter, I think that could well be a reality.
It's imperative on us to raise awareness and to find a cure for this, because if we can help 1 in 2,500 people live their lives pain-free without the deformities and the surgeries and the medical costs and the insurance and the social impact and the depression and the anxiety and it's just imperative that we find a solution now.
We are the voices of CMT.